Would it make someone a jerk if they profusely blocked out everybody from their aunt's invasive photos during their cousin's funeral? It's a lot to unpack, and we'll get into that story in just a bit. But first, am I the jerk for calling the police on my guardian and her partner after refusal to return my school Chromebook? I, 15-year-old female, live with my dad now, but I used to live with legal guardian Sam, 26, not a parent, who's about to officially lose guardianship. I moved out a while ago and all my things were returned in trash bags except for my school-issued Chromebook, which I really need for school. First day is tomorrow. Back when I lived with her, Sam sent me a file on it, an editor's copy of her book, and now she and her partner are refusing to return the Chromebook unless it's deleted. 5 days ago, I showed up and it was dead. Sam told me she'd charge it and delete the stuff so I'd have it before tomorrow. By today, I never got any update or the Chromebook, so I asked for it back when we moved little sister's stuff from there. Sam's partner, 23, in a very hostile tone, told me I wouldn't have it for the first day of school, and said this was a boundary they were setting. I didn't feel comfortable or safe and didn't want to argue, so I called the non-emergency police line to help resolve it calmly and legally after another warning that I needed it by tomorrow that was ignored. Keep in mind, Sam wasn't there for whatever reason. After I'd called the police, she tried to call me and pressure me into giving her partner the password and ID. I said I'd delete in front of them, wait for the police, or for her to get home, but that partner couldn't have unprecedented control over my Chromebook. The officer was calm and kind, and I left with the Chromebook without issue after Sam deleted the document in front of me and the officer. I didn't even care about the book or give them any reason to think I did. During the ordeal, they tried saying I was wrong for not calling Sam directly. She later claimed she was in the middle of a surgery when it happened that I forced her out of, so I'm not sure what good calling her would have done anyway. Now they're making vague posts online about karma and consequences, trying to make me look like the bad guy for handling it the way I did. I just didn't want her hostile partner to have control over a device that isn't theirs. So am I the jerk for getting the police involved to make sure I got my school Chromebook back? I'm gonna go not the jerk. All I see here is adults bullying a child, right? Aren't they in their late 20s and OP's in, 15? So, 10th grade? I mean, goodness gracious, that's just not okay. OP, not the jerk, way to stand your ground. Traditional Swan 130 replied, not the jerk, it's school property. You need it for school. They had zero right to hold it hostage over some doc. You handled it maturely, more than they did. Also, what's up everybody? My name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Am I the Jerk videos, it'd be amazing if you liked the video, or comment it down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, am I the jerk for not removing multiple scary posters from my room that my nephew is sleeping in? Okay, so I, male, 16 years old, got told today that my brother, male, 29 years old, would be staying in my room overnight tomorrow with my nephew, male, 6 years old. I'm already ticked at this because, well, it's my freaking room. My mom is part of the older generation, so according to her, it's perfectly normal to give up your bed for a guest. One thing about my room is that the walls are smothered in posters, like no gaps between Jenga of different posters, banners, and postcards. I have a wall of 2,000 postcards of Studio Ghibli, 7 full-size posters, 5 half-size, 40 A5 pictures of Hozier, and lots more general memorabilia from bands and shows. I have 3 posters stapled to my ceiling, one of which is Ryuk from Death Note. Look him up. He's creepy, as he's a demon, I'll admit, and my brother asked, oh, can you just take it down for the night? I say, no, sorry, it's stapled and I don't want to damage it and put it back up. And he is not pleased having a go at me and saying, you would have been scared at his age too. I don't see how that's my problem. I don't want them in my room at all. I'm not ripping down a permanent poster for people I don't want in my room. But it gets worse. I mentioned the 40 A5 pictures of Hozier before. He wanted me to take them down. He said, quote, it looks like a shrine, cult-like. It's gonna scare him. Take it down. At the present, I'm not listening to a word he says, but am I in the wrong for this? I don't feel like I am, but my mom is calling me unreasonable. Update, my nephew saw the poster and didn't give a freak. We picked him and my brother up, came back to my house, well, my mom's house, as many of you seem to care so much about property ownership, and I was given the job of babysitting/entertaining him for the rest of the day. Eventually, the park gets boring, toys get boring, games get boring, so he asks to watch YouTube in my room. My brother instantly goes, no, there's scary pictures you won't like. This immediately piqued his interest and went straight to my room. Staring straight at the ceiling, he's just like, "Oh, that's cool." Turns out he literally plays Call of Duty Zombies all day and has unlimited internet access at 6. My brother was literally just trying to get under my skin and irritate me. Thanks to everyone for all the advice, though. But I do think some people either disregard it or just don't care that the poster's on my ceiling. I'm 5'2", so it took me an hour, a pile of cushions, and a lot of rage quitting to put them up in the first place. But none of that matters anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna go with not the jerk, but I mean, again, it's hard for me to identify with a teenager in this situation. I understand why he's angry, but at the same time, I don't know, it's just like teenage growing pains, I guess. OrenKey3996 replied, "Not the jerk, but maybe a simple roll of brown package paper pinned over them would ensure he doesn't damage them and that they don't get taken down. Or you could use wrapping paper. Not ideal, but would be kind." Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to accept my convict brother? I write this here as this has been a stressful week and I needed some guidance. A little bit of background. I'm a 38-year-old man. In 2019, I was working in healthcare. That's when my father got kidney failure. I worked full-time during the COVID years while taking care of my father. I was not alone. I had my mother and my younger brother. My father died in 2023. For years before that and after that, my older brother opted to spend his time with drugs. He neglected his parents, his wife, and 4 kids. He got arrested for abusing drugs and got fired. Served his time for a little while, and when got released, he carried on his ways, ever absent, completely neglecting every shred of responsibility he had. Even at my father's funeral, he just attended the burial and disappeared. I had to quit my job, moved in with my mother to take care of her, my 2 living grandparents in their 80s, and took responsibility for the older brother's kids and wife. The wife is a diagnosed schizophrenic, so that was a handful as well. Schools and hospitals were my outings, no social life, fully dedicated as a caretaker. In 2024, my brother cooks up a scheme where he would smuggle contraband to a neighboring country. For his ruse, he will take his wife and young daughter as cover. He even tried to persuade my mother, but she refused to accompany him on this shopping trip. He got found out at the border. I had to go through many hurdles to convince the officials that the wife and child had nothing to do with it, and I was successful. I managed to get them released. He was charged and sentenced to 2 years. Which brings us to now. He got an early release. We only found out because some anonymous person called and told us that. The older brother was missing for 24 hours and then showed up. He found God. My mother swayed, telling us to embrace this returned prodigal son. I did not. Over the years, I've voiced my opinion, which drastically comes down to that if he's on fire, I won't pee on him. That if he tells me the sky is blue, I would call him a liar. My younger brother told him years ago that he's dead to him. Despite this, I said to my mother that if he ever seeks forgiveness, then he should make up for all that time lost to his only surviving parent, to his sick wife, and to his neglected children. Then we will see. There will be no open arms just because he said he mended his ways. For this past week, the extended family embraced him fully. So did my mother. His kids are on edge. I can see it on their faces. He had one interaction with me personally where he wanted to borrow the car. I told him to show me his license. He doesn't have it. Still, my mother took the keys and gave it to him. I knew I'm not getting through, so I retreated. I stopped interacting with this entire lot. There are few glaring actions that I have no space to detail that show me that this is all bull. I can detail them anytime if anyone wants to know. Am I the jerk? I'm gonna say no, you're not the jerk. He's given you every reason in the world to distrust him and want nothing to do with him. And as the old adage goes, actions speak louder than words. So if he truly has reformed himself, let him show it first, and then you can possibly work with him going forward. But for now, I agree, not the jerk. Chicken9358 replied, he found God, not you. The Christian thing to do would be to turn the other cheek. Personally, I'm more of a just because Jesus forgives you doesn't mean I do persuasion. You owe him nothing but the faintest courtesy, and even that you owe to your mother, not him. Even if his conversation is genuine and he spends the rest of his life rescuing puppies and feeding orphans, you're still under no obligation to forgive him. And even if you do forgive him, you have no obligation to have a relationship with him. Not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk for wanting to move myself and my kids closer to my family versus closer to their father and his family? My relationship of 12 years has been a struggle. I, 30-year-old female, have been basically carrying the weight of our family. My partner, 28-year-old male, has always been wishy-washy with everything in our lives. Never consistent. There's no progress with him, and I feel like he's been holding me back for a very long time now. We just moved less than a year ago to another town because he couldn't find a job in our current town. I spent all my hard-earned, saved-up money because he didn't have a job. Fast forward, this man just lost his job, had some money, and decided he still needed to buy weed when he doesn't even have half his bills. I'm flabbergasted and completely over it. Obviously, I'll have to pick up the slack. Back to the story. I finally put my foot down and said once our lease is over, I'm moving with our 2 kids, and I gave him a heads up that I will most likely be moving back to our hometown because that's where my support system is. We moved years ago, and it's only ever been us 4. I felt like I was chasing my happy big girl dreams, and I feel like he just wanted to keep me secluded from everyone and everything I knew. That ticked him off so much. He hates our hometown. I think he just can't handle leaving his hometown, crapping on people and then coming back having to be humble. I think he hates that more, but for whatever reason, as I told him that, he was so upset. So strategically, he always comes up with a plan. He asked me to move to the neighboring state where his family lives. Mind you, his family is not close at all. All he does is fight with them, and they really can't be bothered to help with anything. My family, on the other hand, they drop everything to help me or my kids, which isn't what I want. I just want to be able to have a family close by in case of emergencies for my kids to not be alone like they have been for the past 6 to 7 years. Basically, when I told him that, he said I'm trying to throw my responsibilities on my family when the kids have a father. That I'm being selfish for wanting to move back in the same town as my family versus him and his family. That our kids should be closer to him and not my family. And I get all that, but I told him he can always visit because his family's in a different state, but it's only an hour away. I'm also their support system. Like, I'm the parent that's always been consistent. I've always kept a job and a roof over their heads. I truly just feel like I've always let him control me and my choices, and this is just another stunt to continue to keep me close and monitor me, because I'm finally leaving him. I don't want to make the wrong choice, and my kids hate me for it, but I've made choices for their father for 12 years straight, and I hate it so much. I've never put myself first. So, am I the jerk for wanting to move my kids closer to my family versus their father and his family? Definitely not the jerk here. You're doing what's best for your kids. I do think that you need to formally divorce and leave him first, and that way you have some legal support instead of just trying to force the agenda. I mean, it sounds like you've got a strong case either way, but yeah, just make sure you don't trip yourself up with the law. Accomplished I824 replied, "Not the jerk. You've wasted 12 years with someone who can't even keep a job. You would be doing you and your children a huge disservice by moving where he wants. Time to cut the cord, girl. You aren't going to grow when he's weighing you down." Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my brother to spend more time with his kids and less time doing things like taking his yoga teacher to Japan? My brother got divorced last year after having an affair with a coworker at his law firm. I'm still friends with his ex, especially since she's the mother of my niece and nephew, my brother's kids, who both mean a lot to me. The affair and divorce were rather rough on everyone, as could be imagined. We all live in the same area, so a few days ago he tells me that he's planning to take his yoga instructor on a trip to Japan, but he's going to tell his kids that he'll be on a work trip. He asked me if I'd take his son to summer football practice, and of course I will. I like spending time with his kids. I don't have my own. But it irked me, and I told him he's being kind of a bad dad. Maybe he could spend more time with his kids over the summer rather than taking a trip with his latest fling. He said that since I don't have kids, I shouldn't be telling him how to parent. I don't want to cause a rift between he and I, but I also think it's okay to push back a bit when I think he's being too selfish, especially since he's asking me to cover for him. Yeah, absolutely. The only jerk here is dad here for not only, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have some adult time and some child-free time, but to lie to your kids and ask someone else to cover, that's a jerk move. OP is definitely in the right to call that out. Moo Chu commented, "I don't have to know how to fly a helicopter to know that if I see one in a tree, someone freaked up. Parents don't get lessons when the baby pops out. A whole lot of parents do a really crappy job of it. Lots of child-free people raised siblings or other family members. Being a parent means Richard all about skill at parenting." Our next story is, Am I the jerk for forcing my in-laws to use a toilet instead of pee jugs in my home? My in-laws are visiting my wife and I this week. The trip was short notice, so they'll be staying at our home. Our guest bedroom that they'll be staying in is in the basement of our house. It's spacious, clean, and dry. The only issue is that it does not have a bathroom associated with it. You have to walk up the basement stairs and halfway across the house to get to our guest bathroom. Before arriving, my in-laws were complaining that it was too far of a walk to get to the bathroom from the basement. We're offering them free lodging, so I figured they would just have to deal with it. However, yesterday we got an unexpected Amazon package. My wife opened it and pulled out a strange plastic container. I joked that it looked like one of those medical device pee jugs. The joke was on me, because it was exactly that. My in-laws had ordered a device for them to urinate into instead of going to the bathroom upstairs. I told my wife absolutely not, and that they had to use a toilet. My in-laws are very healthy and able-bodied people, and there's zero reason, other than laziness, for them to use a device like this. My in-laws arrived later yesterday night, and when we confronted them about their plan to pee in the jug, they joked about the device and asked what else they were supposed to do. Use a litter box? No! Go upstairs and use the goddamn toilet! Now they're complaining about having to go all the way upstairs, and I'm pretty sure they're secretly using the pee jug. I'm going to flip if I find out they're using it down there. Am I the jerk for asking them to use a toilet like a normal human being? Edit. Since a lot of people are asking, no, they do not have health issues. They're very fit and healthy. We have an open enough relationship that they would tell us if they did. We also offered for them to stay upstairs, but the rooms upstairs are more cramped and not as spacious. They opted to stay in the basement room. I mean, I'm always going to be on team your house, your rules, but at the same time, just because they haven't disclosed any health maladies, it could just be that they're not telling you. I mean, their age isn't disclosed here, but I'm just saying, maybe just be a little bit more sensitive. Either way, not the jerk. Again, you're understandably upset that they're doing something that you don't want them to do in your own house. Swimming Bridge 9200 replied, as a 54-year-old woman with thankfully mild interstitial cystitis, this bathroom situation would not work for me at all. But I would not use a jar. I'd have to be dang desperate. I'd reserve and pay for a hotel room. When we do Verbo houses with friends, I book it just to make sure we have our own in-suite bathroom. I get why they do not want to walk that far, but still, you're definitely not the jerk. They can get a hotel room. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not having over my friend's daughter who steals? My friend and I, both female in our 40s, have daughters around the same age, 10. We've been friends for 20 years, but the past few years, our relationship has been strained due to our different political beliefs, parenting styles, and what I would call her paranoia. She once got mad at me for something I didn't do, but she assumed I did. She's told some of her close friends about her daughter's history of stealing. She's stolen quite a bit of money from several family members and shoplifted from a store as recently as a month ago. Fast forward to a few days ago. I was having my friends over for a girls' night. My husband was taking my daughter to a movie. My friend texted to ask if she could bring her daughter. She said she could stay home with her older brother, but that they're not getting along. I asked my husband what he thought since he lives here too. He asked if I could find a way to not have this girl at our house, basically unsupervised since the adults would be talking. I prefer to be honest and direct and not come up with a lie, so I texted my friend that my daughter would not be home and that we weren't comfortable having her daughter over given her history. I honestly expected her to reply, I understand, those are the consequences of her actions. She did not, and got very upset. She didn't come over, and I don't even know if we'll continue to be friends. I asked my other friends what they thought when they arrived, if I was out of line. They said yes. They said kids make mistakes. I could have kept an eye on her. And is there anything she could have stolen that's worth the price of a friendship? What do you think? Am I the jerk for not letting her come over? The truth hurts, and unfortunately most people can't handle it. Not the jerk. Simple as that. Complex Storm 1929 replied, not the jerk. I get the girl is just a kid and 100% deserves the benefit of the doubt. However, it's obvious her mother is not parenting her right. If a 10-year-old girl is stealing money from family members and from stores, she needs some serious guidance and consequences. Kids learn through their parents what they can and can't get away with. Our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to split the dinner bill because my dish was half the price of the others? Last week I went to dinner with work colleagues. The agreement was for everyone to order what they wanted. I ordered a more standard dish and a drink, which came to about $32. Most ordered appetizers, expensive dishes, desserts, and various drinks, and the bill for the table came to more than $400. When the waiter brought the bill, someone suggested splitting it equally. I said I didn't think it was fair since I had spent less than half of what they had spent. I explained politely, but the atmosphere became strange. Some colleagues said that the fun is in sharing and that I was being cheap. I ended up only paying for what I consumed and left a good tip, but since then I feel like some people are avoiding me at the office. One of them even commented that I ruined the night and that adults know how to split the bill without complaining. I was really uncomfortable paying almost double what I spent, but now I'm wondering, am I the jerk for not wanting to split the bill equally? No, you're not the jerk. I mean, honestly, I hate when people do this too. Anytime there's a bill split and there's always one or two people that order way, way, way more than everybody else, so by effect of splitting the bill, they're paying less for their meal, while other people that had sensible orders are paying more. So no, not the jerk. Jocelyn, 1973, replied, "Not the jerk. Everybody has a budget and they make choices accordingly. Splitting is something you all want or all don't do. I would stop going out with these people. Also, a tip if you're ever in that situation again. Go to the bathroom before the discussion about the bill starts. There's always the risk of a majority wanting to split. Then to the place where you pay and pay your part and tip. Then inform the others that you just had a text and you need to leave right away. But don't worry, you've just paid your part, including a tip for your part." Our next story is, am I the jerk for using the term fat-fingered? On a Teams call presenting an Excel file to 10 plus people, mostly clients, I apologized to the group for a formula error. Exact words were, "Sorry everyone, I must have fat-fingered the keys." This was met with a brief but stern reprimand from one of the clients who said my phrasing was denigrating to overweight people. I quickly apologized and moved on, but later in the day was irritated that this person felt the need to discuss this in front of the wider group of clients, rather than speaking to me after the call. What do you think? No, of course you're not the jerk. This person is just overly sensitive and making a scene for absolutely no reason. Not the jerk, it's a figure of frickin' speech, and not even an offensive one at that. Olivia M. Rowe replied, "Hi, I'm fat. You're not the jerk. Fat fingers don't even fully correlate to a person's body shape. Tendencies, yes, but not all fat people have fat fingers, and some not fat people do. That said, it's a client, and sucking up that kind of thing is part of the job. Just saying you typoed in the future won't be a major hardship." Our next story is, am I the jerk if I expose my mom's money problems to my dad after she spent my tuition? I, 20-year-old female, have always supported my mom, 43-year-old female, even financially, and I usually try to understand her side. My dad, 44-year-old male, works overseas and sends money twice a month for groceries, bills, and school. He usually sends it to my mom, who then distributes it. Earlier this month, my dad came home after working abroad for 6 months. He had all our expenses mapped out, including my tuition since I'm an incoming second-year aeronautical engineering student, which is really expensive where I live. He gave my mom around $1,000 for my enrollment fee, and that's like 60% of the whole tuition fee. What my dad didn't know was that I still had a $350 balance from my previous semester. My mom used part of the $1,000 for that balance, and I agreed not to tell my dad because I trusted she'd figure out a way to cover the rest. Fast forward to last week. I finished my documents, reserved my enrollment, and was waiting for the tuition payment. That's when I found out my mom had already used the remaining money for reasons she won't explain. She's been trying to recoup it, but nothing has come through. Prior to that, she told me she'll never touch my enrollment money since it'll be hard to recover. Today's the last day of late enrollment. My tuition isn't paid by 6 p.m. I lose my slot. I've already missed 2 weeks of classes, including major and lab subjects, and I completely broke down. I told my mom I'm tired of always having to compromise because she borrows or misuses money. I told her if this continues, I'll have no choice but to tell my dad everything. Not just about my tuition, but also about her gambling and borrowing habits I've helped cover up for years. The problem is, if I tell him, my parents will have a huge fight and he'll never trust Earth money again. But I'm exhausted, and now my education is on the line. Am I the jerk if I finally tell my dad the truth? No, you're not, and honestly, I think you should. Your mom, unfortunately, is very irresponsible and taking advantage of you. Yeah, you don't deserve this. Not the jerk. Totally freaking out replied, "Tell your dad. It sounds like she may have a gambling addiction. Either way, it's financial abuse in my opinion. Your dad has a right to know what's happening with their money and to not be lied to." And OP replied to this, "I actually considered telling him multiple times, but I'm just afraid of what the consequences will be, as the last time this happened, they had a huge fight and Dad wanted an itemized list of expenses. It was only recently he went lax, and this is what happens." Our next story is, Am I the jerk for purposefully blocking out everybody from my aunt's invasive photos during my cousin's funeral? This was a funeral for my 20-year-old female cousin, 22-year-old female. I'm not gonna lie, we only have ever talked twice in my life and probably fought over the Wii U as kids, but I know she was a sweet girl everyone loved. She was diagnosed as a kid with cystic fibrosis and passed away last week. She was the first baby of our generation, and no one expected her gone so soon. We all chipped in for her funeral to the point where the family had extra, which they decided to donate to our country's nonprofit for CF. One of my aunts, Donna, 48, has this obsession with making our relatives look bad. Honestly, there's no nicer way to put it. She's just that crappy. She has cameras, and during Christmas or Easter, she'd always go out of her way to take pictures of my mom's hair all messed up and sweaty from cooking for hours, or maybe my uncle passed out drunk, and while you could say this is just her snapping random pics, she always posts them online and never takes them down, even when we gently ask or even outright just beg her because everybody looks downright ugly in all her photos, except for her and her toddler daughter probably. So during the funeral, we're all about to say our last goodbyes before she's buried. We were all honestly put together until the violin song from When the Titanic Was Sinking started playing, and everyone just starts crying, and even I'm past that point because it's just so crappy that she hadn't even gotten to live a normal life because of all the procedures she had done on her. My uncle had the decency to stop the live feed to our relatives abroad, but Donna just whips out her camera and I know what's coming already. I'm so ticked that she keeps doing this and nobody stops her. I don't blame them. Have respect for the dead. Donna starts walking around the room and I know her style already, literally shoving the camera into people's faces like she always does under the guise of documenting family memories and whatever. I decide to start walking around and greeting the relatives just in time to block them out from the pics. I could see her through my peripheral vision starting to get ticked, but I kept it up until she gave up and started filming the flowers since she was already getting weird stares from people who were catching on. The last bit where I probably have been the jerk is when cousin's dad and her uncles carried the casket to the hearse. Dad's head is ducked, and I can tell he's about to crumble under both the physical and emotional weight of it all. Donna, on the other hand, is like some hunter adjusting her camera for the perfect unalive. Just as she's about to take a picture, I cover him up with my body under the guise of helping them lift up the casket. Donna literally hisses at me, but I glare at her and I don't move because freak you. That was a week ago, and Donna keeps making subtle jabs at me in the clan group for making the funeral about myself, because it's tradition that the men carry the casket. So, am I the jerk, or was I overreacting? Thanks. Not the jerk, you put someone that was being insensitive in their place. There's never anything wrong with that, I don't think. Becky, the techie, commented, "Not the jerk. I've only seen behavior that disrespectful at my own grandmother's funeral where the youngest aunt cut out a family member as a pallbearer so both her sons could do it. The fact that no one has resorted to violence with this terrible, petty, childish woman is admirable and baffling to me. In my family, someone would have staged a prank that ruined her camera, her clothes, caused a minor injury, etc. Alright everybody, that is all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below, and if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. I got nothing else for you. I will see you all next time.